Hi guys, this is Marius and Alex from Trademate Sports, and we are bringing you episode 4 of the Trademate Sports podcast.
Yes, good to be back, and we'll start things off as always with the weekly quiz question. So this week's question is, how many trophies did Jose Mourinho win in his time with Chelsea and Manchester United? And I've added on to the end here that I'm not including the Community Shield, as I don't really think that's a real trophy, but I guess that's a debate for another day. Options, a bit of a hard one to pick, obviously, as it is just a single number. So recap from last week's podcast, some of our picks. So if you go for our fearless predictions, mine was Leicester not winning, which got reasonably close until about the 64th minute, I think it was, where Leicester then went on to win. But I was looking okay for a bit. But Marius, you won your fearless prediction, United not winning.
Yeah, it got pretty close to me not winning it, but luckily McBurney saved the day for Sheffield United and equalised after United had turned around the game.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, it's funny because it was 2-0 until the 70th minute to Sheffield United. So it's funny that we're talking about luckily it did go through, but that's how it panned out in the end. And then our picks of the week, so our value bets of the week. CBS pick of the week from Marius was Manchester City to beat Chelsea, and he got another win there. Well done. And my value bet of the week was Sheffield United draw no bet. So I guess that's a bit of a void situation. Do I get the win there?
That's a void. So you get to live to fight another day.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So yeah, there we go. So you had a good week, mate.
Yeah, I did. Two out of 2. So I'm like crushing you now, I think.
Crushing me.
Yeah, like a big advantage at least. So it's going to be very hard for you to catch up at this pace. So
no, I think it's 1-1 now in the valued picks of the week.
Yeah,
because I won the first one. You lost the first one because Leicester City and
I've totally forgotten about that. It didn't actually happen. It must be myth or something. So yeah,
we'll have to look at the points tally again.
All right.
But anyway, we can move on to brighter things in the world of football and especially EPL. The Arsenal match.
I was just looking at like the live results for that game, and then I was just like, yeah, it's gonna be very fun to do this podcast during the week because Alex is going to have a lot to talk about again with his beloved Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably just like repeating myself again and again, but I don't know. You kind of have to talk about it when it's as bad as it is. I don't know. It was an interesting match. Attack-wise, I would say that it was one of our probably better attacking performances of the season because he did even though he went with 3 at the back, he did set us up with 2 wing backs who were getting up and down reasonably well. Tierney and Bellerin started Ozil, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. Our attack wasn't looking too bad, better than normal, but it was the defence that was just shambolic, to say the least. Like, as always, we conceded a lot of shots on goal, which isn't really a surprise. But just in general, especially if you watch the latter stages of the game, they should have beaten us. I don't know. They could have scored another 2 or 3 goals easily.
So according to 538, Southampton 3 expected goals against Arsenal's 2.1. So you did actually lose there, and conceding 3 expected goals is quite a lot. Yeah,
I mean, it's a theme of the season. Our differential in terms of shots on goal is been in the negative basically ever since Emery started as coach of Arsenal. So it's a theme of his tactics that he's happy for Arsenal to concede more shots than the other team. Read into that what you want. Maybe it's genius, maybe it's not, but I guess you'd have to say at the moment it is definitely not a genius tactical move because it is not working.
Get the points and losing on expected goals too, then you can't really complain either.
No, exactly. But so I thought the attack was better. Defense was probably the worst it's been all season. I like Socrates on the whole mostly, but he was just absolutely terrible in that game. Bellerin has not recovered well from injury so far. You have to give him time, but he's another suspect. As someone that we really had to rely on to come back to full strength, and he hasn't. Yeah, and just on a whole, just the tactics, defensive. They like I said, they could have scored a lot more goals. But I thought an interesting thing was the referee in that game. He blew up some interesting calls. The first goal was the quick free kick, and I love a quick free kick. I think that's very valuable, like to the game. Like it's important that we keep the game going because there are enough stoppages as there is. My problem was that the free kick was taken like at least 3 or 4 or 5 meters away from where the foul occurred. And like what that does is like you can't just like wherever the free kick, like you can't just, if someone gets fouled, you can't just move the ball away and to the quickest spot where you can put the ball on the ground and then take the free kick, because that's severely unfair. If he had taken the ball back to where the foul was, put it down and then kept the game going, then Arsenal probably would have had more time to recover. I thought that was a really dodgy call. I don't know what you thought of that.
Well, I mean, usually the referees are very like picky about that stuff. So it was a bit surprising that they didn't like pull it back.
Yeah.
But
and the ball was moving.
The ball was moving too, because then it should definitely like be taken again.
Yeah, only slightly. Like I can half understand that call, but to like the referee just let them put the ball down wherever they grab the ball and play on. And I mean, obviously the Arsenal defenders shouldn't be, appealing, and they should be concentrating on the next form of the play. But I don't know, I thought the referee had a terrible game, and that kind of went on to the next call, which was the penalty, the Tierney tug of the arm, which, to be honest, I thought was incredibly soft. But yeah, I'm not trying to make excuses for Arsenal, but I mean, they're bad enough as it is. We just don't need the referee against us.
Probably, yeah. But at the same time, it's kind of like a regular stupid mistake to do stuff like that, because there is the risk that you'll get punished, and when you get away with it, then everything is great, but you can't really like blame anyone else but yourself when you get penalized for it.
Yeah, no, I can't make too many excuses up for us, but I did think the referee was pretty terrible throughout the game. And I thought the most interesting part of that game was obviously we were losing 2-1 for the majority of the second part of that second half. And then we banged in a goal, like literally in the second last minute of stoppage time, which was probably the least happy I've ever been that we've scored a goal, because I feel like our board is so stupid that they're going to look at that goal and think, oh, we actually drew with Southampton. Like that was like we didn't lose, but Southampton should have literally beaten us something like 5-1 or 2. And if they're looking at that goal and thinking that's like a justifiable way of keeping Emery around, then they are so stupid. Because no one celebrated that goal, and no Arsenal fan probably celebrated that goal. It was the opposite, because we were like, oh my God, that's probably going to keep him around for another week.
It is pretty bad when it gets to the level that you actually don't want your team to win, because you need to get the change.
Yeah, I want them to win, but the thing was, it was the second last minute of stoppage time, and it was to get a draw. And I would honestly rather us drop 1 point and not get the draw if that meant Emery was going out the door the next day.
Yeah.
I would 100% not take 1 point so that he stays around another week, because it's just inevitable how this is going to end up. We're just losing more and more points each week. So yeah, I hope that final goal wasn't the reason for keeping him around another week or however long he stays on, because that would just be stupidity. If you watch the match, you're smart enough to see what was actually going on in that match.
Yeah. I have to say I'm pretty impressed with Danny Ings, though. He's up to 6 goals now, and he's playing for one of the worst sides in the league. So he's looking pretty good value in fantasy, despite being in such a bad team.
Yeah, well, I've been reading the articles that have been provided to us by the transfer algo, and I see that he's like one of the best players if you're talking value, Danny Ings. So might be someone to look into getting in the future, but everyone's banging in goals against Arsenal, mate, so it's not much to read into.
Whoever is playing against Arsenal is starting in your fantasy team. That's the real strategy there.
I'd love to see a stat around that. What strikers, how many of the main strikers of a team score when they play Arsenal this season?
Yeah. And as always, not just for fantasy, but we always want to look for value in life. So that's the number one principle here at Trademate Sports. Whether it's at the the grocery store or when doing sports betting or something like that.
Yeah, and you probably want to talk about your Liverpool team now, mate, don't you?
Yeah, so what can I say? They managed to pull off another win after another late goal, which just never ceases to amaze me, how this team is just able to win football games. In the first half especially, they looked a bit disjointed. Salah lacking and playing Ox instead. Just there's a bit of a drop-off there in like the overall performance, and as soon as one of the front three is missing, then things don't like run as fluid as they usually do. But still, the ability to just grind out that win, especially when Palace get the equalizer and everything, and still manage to win in the end, is just tremendous mental strength, I'd say. They just don't stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the easiest way you can tell whether a team's ready to win the title or if, they are the real deal, I guess, is to, get those victories even when they're not playing the best, and get victories in the case like in last minute, well, not last minute, but, last couple minutes of the game kind of victories. They kind of define what kind of team you've got. And the thing is they're not doing it. It's not the first time they've done it this season. It's becoming a regular occurrence with Liverpool, and it just shows probably why they will win the league in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with all that. So they are just looking still fantastic, and even on their off days, they're able to win games, and that's what a title winner does.
Exactly, mate. I wanted to bring up the VAR call, though. I thought that was a very questionable overturning. I guess the way I saw it was it was ruled a goal at first, and then it was overturned, and I don't think there was enough in that shove from Jordan Ayew, I think it was, to overturn the goal. I'm not that angry about the call, but I don't know. I don't think there was enough in that shove to overturn. What do you think?
I think that it's. I think the debate should be about whether or not, because the issue is, was Lovren going to reach the ball? Probably not.
Yeah.
So should it then count? Because like Lovren would have missed the ball anyway, and Tompkins ended up scoring, and that was not like directly involved with Lovren. And to me, the answer is yes, it should still be a foul, because a foul's a foul no matter where on the pitch it happens. So if you don't want to get free kicks against you, then you don't commit fouls. And for me, the shove is enough. So yeah, it was a free kick, and I think even Roy Hodgson agrees with me there.
Actually,
yeah. So if Hodgson says the VAR call was correct and it wasn't a penalty, then it definitely wasn't a penalty, because managers never do that. So
yeah, I guess you have a point, but I don't know. I don't rate it. I do think that not only was it a debatable call whether it was a big enough shove enough, but also it didn't really affect play at all. I guess I sit on the other side of this one, mate. But I mean, you do need luck to win some titles, don't you, mate?
This has nothing to do with luck. I would have won 3-2 if it had been a goal. So no problem there.
But yeah, anything else you want to say about your mighty Liverpool side?
I think we're good on Liverpool, but one thing that I did want to touch upon here is Norwich finally pulling off a win. And quite surprisingly away against Everton. I'm not sure if it is a surprise anymore at this stage, because Everton have been woefully underperforming all season and struggling in like the bottom half. One would expect them to be up there fighting it out for 5th or 6th with like Tottenham, Arsenal, Manchester United being so bad so far. But no, they're not. They're stuck in the bottom half of the table. So they're also a team which is underperforming heavily. And Norwich, who I thought was going to be for sure to stay in the Premier League at the start of the season, after that, they played very well against Liverpool, and then they beat Manchester City. And I'm just like, this team is more than good enough for the Premier League. They're going to end mid-table. But then they've just been losing every single week. And finally it turned. So it will be very interesting to see whether this is like the start of them putting up a string of good results, or whether they'll just fall back to losing again.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest talking points around Everton, though, like their managers under severe pressure, arguably more than Unai Emery. So I'm wondering how long it is until he goes. I guess like you can kind of compare them. Like squad-wise, they've got a very similar squad to Leicester, like in terms of ability. And Leicester are coming second, and I think Everton are coming. I think they're coming 16th or 17th. They're very close to relegation. Yeah, it's not looking too good for Everton at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what happens with their manager, like I was saying, in the future. But yeah, not looking good at all.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that is good for all of these teams is that it's just so even this year. Like from 5th to I guess around like 16th, it's like 4 or 5 points. So it's just crazy even. So if you're just able to put in like a string of wins, then you'll suddenly climb the table and be in for contention for a Europa League spot.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal have won 4 games this season and we're coming 8th.
Yeah.
Like, you should not be coming 8th if you've only got 4 wins this season. So 4 wins out of 13. Yeah, I thought that's crazy. So, it's incredibly tight from about 5th place down to relegation zone, just about.
Yeah.
So we've got the Champions League back this week, mate. Thought we could go through two games left in the group stage. Thought it'd be cool to go back and we'll go into the group tables and have a look at who we think is going to progress. So we can start with Group A, which is the PSG Real Madrid group. I mean, I don't think we really need to talk about this one. They are both well ahead.
I think PSG is going to win that group too. They have 5 points to go. So if they just win their last game or play a draw or whatever, then they're going to win it no matter what. Yeah,
well, they're 4 from 4 at the moment. So, PSG and Real Madrid will get through. Very similar circumstance in Group B with Bayern and Tottenham topping that group in Group B. Bayern 4 from 4 at the moment and looking like certainties to top that group. Tottenham coming second probably. Man City, I think this is a reasonably interesting group if you're...
so in City's group, there's also Shakhtar, Dinamo Zagreb and Atalanta. And I have to say, I'm pretty surprised that Atalanta just has 1 point and is at the clear bottom of this group without winning a single game. While Dinamo Zagreb has 5 points and are equal to Shakhtar. So that one's going to be very, very interesting. I mean, Shakhtar is the team which has been like making it to the knockout stages over like the last 10 years, like many times in the Champions League. So I would expect them to pull it off, but Dinamo Zagreb has surprised and, as always, have some good young players in the team.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting group to see play out. Group D, you've got Juventus, Atletico at the top, similar to Group A and B. You've got 2 clear teams that'll go through there most likely. They're actually playing each other on Tuesday nights, Juventus and Atletico, so it'll be a cracking game. I think Juventus are at home, so you would expect Juventus to win or maybe have a draw, but no, I don't know. Atletico, you never know with them. They're a good side.
Well, they had some amazing games last season in the Champions League knockout stages, so it's always fun to watch those 2 teams, and it's 2 teams who know how to both attack and play defense, so it is always a very close contest. And then I also found it very interesting that Bayer Leverkusen are currently sitting last in that group with only 3 points. They should be able to beat Lokomotiv Moscow and make it through, but at this stage nothing is certain on at least make it through to like the Europa League. But yeah, that's a big surprise for me.
I think this group's interesting, the one with Liverpool, Napoli, Red Bull and Genk, if that's how you pronounce it. I think Red Bull could challenge Napoli in terms of getting into the finals. Liverpool playing Napoli this week. I think Liverpool are at home, so they should get the lollies there. But if Red Bull beat Genk and Napoli lose to Liverpool, it's going to be a really interesting race here.
Yeah, that would bring Red Bull up to 7 points, so 1 point behind Napoli. It will be interesting. I mean, Napoli has failed once against Genk, so if they fail again, it will open the door for Red Bull. But Red Bull are going to need a result against Liverpool, so that would be interesting.
I thought Red Bull were playing Napoli in the last round, so I guess if that is the case, then you would think Napoli and Liverpool should get through.
It is the most likely, I think.
Yeah, it's a fair call. Group F, the group of death. What do you think, mate?
Oh, this is a tough one. So here we have Barcelona, Dortmund, Inter, and Slavia Praha. And Slavia Praha has surprisingly pulled off 2 draws in this group. So that's pretty surprising. And then you have Barcelona at 8 points, Dortmund at 7, and Inter at 4. So this is going to be a real race to the finish line. One would expect Barcelona to be able to pull this off and win the group. But it is very, very open, and it will be very interesting to see which team managed to do it.
Yeah, so you got Dortmund playing Barcelona tonight, but then they have Slavia Praha in the last game, whereas Barcelona and Inter Milan face each other in match day 6. If I had to predict, I'd probably say Inter should win this week, which takes them to 7. If Dortmund lose, then it's 7-7. Then you got Inter playing Barcelona and Dortmund playing Slavia Prague. What do you think?
It looks like it's going to end the way it's currently sitting, but this is the most fun group so far in the CS Champions League, so it will be very interesting to follow it to the finish line. Yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, that'll be a tough one to pick. Group G and Group H, I think they're quite boring. There's no real big teams in there. So you've got Group G, RB Leipzig on 9 points, Lyon 7, Zenit 4, and Benfica 3 points.
Yeah, so I find this group actually a bit interesting because there are 4 teams I would expect to be pretty even. Like all of them have had appearances in the knockout rounds of the Champions League in the last couple of years, besides Leipzig, and they're topping the group. Pretty impressive feat of them to be able to beat some of the good old like European royalty. Even though, like, of course, teams like Lyon and Benfica, it varies a lot from year to year how good they are. And Lyon aren't doing too well in the French league this year.
Yeah, I think you'd have to say RB Leipzig will go through in that one. Yeah, I guess Zenit probably have a more favourable run-in considering they're in the Russian league. So they don't have probably as hard, bigger games, so they could maybe rest a couple players, whereas Lyon are in the tougher league. That's a hard one to pick. Probably just have to go with Lyon because they're ahead.
All right, let's move on to Group H. And this is a very, very fun group because here we have Ajax, Chelsea, Valencia, and Lille.
Yeah.
And those 3 first teams all have 7 points. So
and Lille are on 1, so they're absolutely no chance of making it. So then it's the fight between the other 3 teams. So this week you have Valencia, Chelsea. That'll be a massive game. You'd have to say Ajax will go through probably. They're probably the stronger out of those 3 teams. And then what have you got in the last round? You've got Ajax, Valencia, and Chelsea, Lille. Yeah. So Valencia have a pretty tough run home.
Definitely going with Ajax and Chelsea to progress from that group. But Valencia did manage to pull off quite a surprise win against Chelsea away. So they can do it again at home. So Chelsea really need to deliver. Otherwise, they could find themselves in the Europa League once again.
That young Chelsea squad, you never know when they're going to have that slump. It's got to come at some point. Could it be at a crucial point with playing Valencia this week? Massive game. I don't know. I could put a little fearless prediction in there. I think I don't know. Valencia might be a chance. I'd just love to see Chelsea not make the groups.
You want to risk one of your fearless predictions?
I'll have a think about it, mate. I'll have a think about it. I'm not going to go all gun ho.
All right, cool. Let's move on to something that got us fired up this week in the world of football.
So yes, I don't want to talk about Arsenal anymore in terms of my rant or something that got me fired up. So I'm going to move over to the special one, Mourinho. I've noticed a lot just after one game in charge and getting that 3-2 win over West Ham that everyone is saying, they're kind of praising Mourinho. Not too much, but they're judging him way too much after one game. I think if anyone's watched football before, if you get a new manager in charge after some poor performances, there's a very good chance that first game the team is going to be very rejuvenated and looking to put in a good performance, and they normally do so. And I think that was just the case against West Ham. I think they will get better. So I think Mourinho is like we kind of said last week, he's good for your first 1 or 2 seasons. And I think he will get something out of this Tottenham team in the near future. But to be praising Mourinho this early is, I think it's stupid, because I don't think his true test comes in terms of judging him as a manager until 2 years from now, to be honest. Because everyone knows that's when he fails. So if he wants to be considered one of the great managers of the game, he needs to prove himself after that 2-year mark. So, I mean, it kind of just come on, don't give him praise after one game, especially, considering that I think any coach in the world could come in and after one game with that squad could get some sort of rejuvenation and get some sort of fight back. And I think it's stupid to be saying he's back.
Yeah, I still think Mourinho has a lot to prove, even with his track record, because this is a total different situation to the ones he's been in before, and it will be very interesting to see how he copes with that. But only time will tell, and I've said I think he gets fired within the next 2 years. So that's a fearless prediction right there.
Yeah.
So actually doing it before the usual 3 years it takes for him to go. All right, so over to our fearless predictions section, the Nostradamus Prophecies that we are making this week. So I just fired a one-off with Mourinho getting fired within 2 years. And I also have one for the Champions League this week, and that is PSG will beat Real Madrid away, and by that having beaten them twice in the Champions League group stages this year.
That is very, very fearless.
Yeah, that's what we do. Fearless predictions.
Fearless predictions. So my Nostradamus prophecy for the week, and if you're watching on YouTube, you've probably just noticed that the camera's gotten a bit more up close and personal. Just made a few adjustments after the battery ran out. So rookie error from us. But my prophecy is Chelsea will not progress through to the finals of the UCL. I think Valencia will be able to either get a draw against them on Wednesday night or maybe even beat them. And then from then on, you've got Ajax. I think they'll win their round 5 game. And then it's going to be very difficult for Chelsea to get through once Valencia, if they don't get a win against Valencia tonight, I think. Because then, I don't know. I get the feeling that their confidence will be a bit broken after losing to Man City, even though it was expected. Right. I feel like I'm trying to predict when the dip's going to happen for Chelsea.
Yeah, some psychological analysis by Alex there.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm going to go Chelsea will not progress through to the finals, and it'll probably be a good thing for them, I think. Less games, young squad. It'll probably help them in the Premier League, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing right now, if you can't win the Premier League, you just need to qualify for the Champions League again. And of course, it's a big advantage to get through to the knockout rounds because it's such a big difference in money, but you still make pretty good money by being in the group stages. Yep. So, yeah.
Cool. And then we can move on to our picks of the week. So your CBS pick for the week, mate.
Yeah, so my CBS pick for the week is Juventus Atletico Madrid, and Juventus to win that game 1-0.
Cool. And my value bet of the week is Inter to beat Slavia Prague on Wednesday night. I think they're at very, very good odds because they really do need to win this game, as you've got Barcelona and Dortmund just ahead of them by, I think, 3 points. In their group at the moment, or the group of death, you want to call them. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Inter to beat Slavia Prague, and they're at 238. That was the best odds I could find with them on, just before. So, yeah.
That was the odds on Inter?
Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
That sounds pretty crazy. I mean, Slavia Prague has been pretty surprising that they managed to get a draw against Inter in the first game and also get another draw in that group, but for Inter not to beat them the second time, I think that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, I thought they'd be at maybe under 2. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I guess as always, we've gone with the value bet.
Yeah, and Inter has also been in fantastic shape so far in Serie A this season, so it's a very strong Inter team this year, and I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, hopefully it gets through, mate. And then a bit of talk around the Fantasy Premier League. Now, I think at the moment you're sitting about 10 points ahead of me in the Trademate League. So yeah, you overtook me a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, mate, do you want to take us through any transfers you're thinking of making this week, or if you have made some already?
Yeah, so I figured we would start out by just having a look at the teams we had in this past game week and how many points we got and stuff, and who are the best performers. So one of the things I did was I ended up putting Nick Pope in goal instead of Matthew Ryan. And I figured that they're playing Watford, which is a pretty bad team. Burnley's capable of getting a 0-0 draw away and getting a clean sheet. And I figured that was more likely than Matthew Ryan keeping a clean sheet at home against Leicester. So I put Pope in goal, and that really paid off since they won 3-0 in the end, which was quite surprising, but very strong. My defense didn't play too good, but Mendy actually started this game, so that was amazing. It will be very interesting to see whether he's also playing in the Champions League this week, or whether they are going to shift their rotation now, so that now it's Angelino and Kyle Walker playing in the Champions League and Mendy and Cancelo playing in the Premier League. And then in midfield, probably should have kept Mane, but I kept De Bruyne, and both of them got a goal, but Mane got more points. So missed out on a couple there, but overall okay. I ended up transferring out Sterling for Vardy, and that proved to be a good move as Vardy scored a goal. And I think, I guess he also got an assist since he has so many points. So I made one more transfer, and that was putting in Tielemans for Sterling to sort of finance that move. And then I also, so I swapped Tielemans for Sterling and Vardy on for Connolly, who went out of my team. That's the transfers I made. I also put Cantwell on the bench. He's been playing on my team every single week almost. But for this week, when he finally scored, he was on my bench. So I missed out a bit there, and I also had Soyuncu on the bench. So some potential, but at least glad I got the Pope move right.
Yeah, I did the same thing with Pope and Matt Ryan. I played Pope, and that paid off well. Any other changes? My transfer of the week was to put in Lundstram for Burnley. You can't really go past Lundstram at the moment, so I put him in, and he got an assist from centre back. It's quite funny the way they play Sheffield United.
Yeah, so the case with him is that he's not actually playing as a center defender or as a defender. He's playing as an offensive midfielder, but he's listed as a defender.
Yeah.
That's why it's so amazing value.
Yeah, their coach is working wonders over there. I love their tactics. It's good to see a different style of football. It can get a bit mundane at times when you've got the same formations going around. So other than that, I still have the same old kind of midfield. Bernardo Silva was suspended, so I had to put him on the bench. King's injured, who I will probably transfer this week. And I also made the error of putting Cantwell on the bench the week he scores 10 points, which would have been very valuable. Yeah, that's kind of how I went. I got 54 points. You got 59.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's quite tight in the Trademate League at the moment.
It is. Close race. Generally, you want to aim to have 60-point game weeks, so quite happy that I'm getting close to that at least almost every single week. And then I hope to really hit it soon with my captain scoring a hat-trick. That would be amazing. I don't think anything like that has happened to me so far this season. It's just been a steady points grind.
Yeah, and then with our transfers, like I said before, I'll probably take King out this week as he's injured. I'm not sure for how long, but it does say on the app that it's indefinite. So I think I'll have to take him out. And
Can I just shoot in there? I actually dreamt about fantasy football this night.
Oh, God.
And I dreamt that King scored 2 goals, and someone was telling me about how they had him in the team, and he scored 2 goals and got so many points, and I totally missed. So maybe you should reconsider that.
Okay, great to know about Marius's dreams.
Yeah.
So I'll probably take King out. I guess the biggest question I'm kind of going through at the moment is I haven't played my wild card before the end of December. So you get 2 wild cards throughout the whole season, and you got to play the first one before December. So I'm wondering when to play it. I guess there's lots of a big schedule of Premier League games coming up throughout Christmas. So I'm wondering whether I should play it this week or I don't know. Not
Yeah, I'd probably wait until like that Christmas period if there's like a lot of rotation and stuff. Because usually I would, like this year I played my wild card during the first international break because then it's like 3 weeks, players might pick up injuries. So it's good to be able to make changes then. But the way they have changed like the transfer rules over these last couple of years, where players, as soon as they lose value, you lose like your spending ability, but you don't gain much when they increase in value. So not losing money on players has now become a lot more important than trying to have your players increase in value. So next year, I'm definitely going to go with it in round 2 and just bring in like in-form players and drop the ones which are out of form. Like this year, I started with King and Delafeu, and they both like didn't score any goals during the first couple of rounds, and that just cost me like $500,000 right from the start.
Yeah. So you've used your wild card?
Yeah, I have. So, but I think it sounds like a good idea to save it for like the Christmas period when it's hectic. Because right now, I mean, your team's performing, so there's not a need to like do very big changes. It's more like tweaks, right?
Yeah, it's because I've got a few injuries, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean that could be a good situation to use it in. For my transfer, it's kind of I need to play this out over like a couple of like call it transfer windows, since you only get one transfer every week. I'm considering dropping Mason Mount because he's been underperforming lately. He got off to a fantastic start during the beginning of the season, where it was just scoring goals and getting assists and everything was fantastic. But it's been dropping off a bit lately, and it's probably him just needing to like stabilize himself. Still a young player, so you can expect some inconsistency there. So I'm considering dropping him. And then I have 3.1 million in the bank right now. So I'm considering upgrading Mendy to Van Dijk. My plan was to sub him, since he's a very expensive defender and he wasn't starting until this weekend. But now that he has started, I might hang on to him for another week. And if so, I might change the other defenders. But overall, it's pretty tricky because I'm quite happy with the defense I have. Like Soyuncu, Tomori, Lundstram, they're all amazing value this year.
Yeah.
And so it's not really a point to just have more expensive players in. You want to have the players in who score the most points, and they all score pretty good points. So that's it. So maybe I'll upgrade on striker, something like that. I'll see. I'll have a think about it. But those are at least the things that I'm considering.
Yeah. Lots of thoughts there, mate. I like it.
Yeah.
So it's a big decision to make, mate. Fantasy Premier League. So.
Yeah, I mean, I even dream about this stuff, so of course it has a big impact on my life.
Jeez, I hope you win the league, mate. I don't want you to go into some sort of depression.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of the podcast. Once again, guys, thanks for watching.
Quiz.
The quiz, yes.
Yeah, so let's give them the over on the line.
Yeah, so the question again was, how many trophies did Jose Mourinho win in his time with Chelsea and Manchester United? Not including the Community Shield trophies he's won. And the option I was going to give everyone in terms of an over and underline was 9.5 trophies. So do you want to have a guess, mate?
Well, I accidentally looked at the answer now, so now I'm banned from guessing.
Yeah.
But I can say that I would have gotten it wrong.
Okay. Yeah. I had to write this one down because I wouldn't have been able to remember it. But basically, in total, he's won 9 trophies, 7 with Chelsea and 2 with Manchester United. 5 of those trophies, or 5 of the 7 trophies with Chelsea were in his first stint, which is quite interesting. So he had a little bit of a drop-off when he came back. And yeah, if you break it down, it was 3 EPL titles with Chelsea, 5 cups, so whether that be FA Cup or Carabao Cup, across both teams, and he's won 1 Europa League with Manchester United. So yeah.
I was at that game actually. So
the Europa League game.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Where was that?
It was in Stockholm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Good stuff.
A lot of fun. We were in the box right next to Magnus Carlsen, like the world's best chess player, who's Norwegian. So that was quite funny. So
yeah.
I tried talking to him a bit during the halftime, but he was playing chess on his phone while he was talking to me. So it was not the most engaging conversation, I have to say. But I did learn that his favorite team is Real Madrid, and that he hoped Manchester United would lose the game, which they didn't. So
playing chess at a Europa League final.
Yeah,
that kind of
that's,
describes the Europa League, doesn't it?
I think it describes that if you're going to be the world's best chess player, then you need to play chess all the time.
Yeah, especially during the Europa League final. It's an important time when no one else is playing chess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for this week. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy this podcast and want us to make more podcasts like this, then please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, it is amazing if you have any questions or topics which you would like us to comment on, then write them in the comments below the video, and we will try to address them in the next episode. We also answer to everything you do there. We also answer to all of the comments that we get. But if it's a very, very cool question, then we will also bring it up during the podcast. So thank you for watching and see you next week.
See you guys.
With